If you have data in Excel, you can convert and import that data into aligned elements. Let me show you how. For this purpose, we will use the Aligned Elements Importer tool to extract the data from Excel and convert it to something that Aligned Elements can import. You can find it on our website. I'm going to jump over here to Download Setups and then scroll down, and here we got the importer. You click on the Go button to download it, and there is also a user manual available for the Aligned Elements Importer on this link here. To operate the importer, you need two things. You need a template set for the project in which you want to import the data, and then you need a cleaned up Excel sheet that contains the data you want to import. Now, to get to the templates for your project, you download the zipped template set to your desktop and unzip it to a folder. We have another video describing this, and you find a link to the video in the description. The next step is to clean up your Excel sheet. Note that the importer works on the convention one row, one design control. The importer will only operate on the first sheet in your Excel document. Now, make sure that you remove any column filters, that you unmerge any merged or spanned cells, and that you remove any empty rows or rows that are not to be imported. So in this example, I'm going to start out by just removing all the formatting. I'm going to remove the column filters here, so I select those, all of them, of course. Then I go here, remove them. Now these top two rows are not design control data that I want to import, so I remove them as well. What I end up here with is an Excel sheet that on the first row has the column captions, and then I have all the data I want to import. One row, one design control object. There's no gaps, no empty rows in between. That's great. I'm going to save this now. Note that the importer will treat all the content as plain text, so any rich text formatting will be ignored. The first thing we need to do is to upload the Excel sheet or CSV document that we want to import. So you browse to it using this browse button. We then click next, and we then locate the Aligned Elements template set. I downloaded it to my desktop in a folder here, and I point to the template folder that contains all the templates. So this is the folder that I want to point to. I then select yes, and I go to the next step. Now we need to tell Aligned Elements which of all the objects in this template set do we intend to import. In my case, it's risk control measures, so I'm going to click measures here. Now the fun part starts. The content of the Excel sheet is now displayed in this grid here. And what we can do now is to map the columns to attributes in Aligned Elements for the measure type. We use the context menu for this. So I'm going to right click on this column here and say assign this attribute to column. I select title, which means that I'm going to import the data in this column as title. I continue here. This is going to be my chapters. This is going to be my descriptions. And this one is going to be my type. Brilliant. As you can see here, there is a lot of options in this context menu to merge columns, to split columns, trim data, set default values in empty cells, etc. Now note that when you use these functions, you only operate on the data in this grid, not in the underlying Excel sheet. That means that if you step out of this view and step back, those changes are gone. Now, a trick for you. This first row here contains my column captions, and of course I don't want to import the column captions as an input. So I use this checkbox here to tell Aligned Elements that the first row in this Excel sheet are captions, and I want to hide them. So I click reload, and now they're gone. Now once you're happy with this mapping, you can click next. Let's Aligned Elements know where you want to store the data. I'm going to store it on my desktop. Then you click next and finish. Aligned Elements has now converted the data in the Excel sheet to an XML format that Aligned Elements can import. I'm going to click no in this button. Now, if you have several Excel sheets that has the same format, and you want to operate on them using the exact same settings that we just had, you can batch upload those files to treat them in the same way. I'm going to click no. Now we're ready to import the data in aligned elements. Now, to verify that the extraction went well, I highly recommend that you first do a test import in a sandbox or test project to check that the results are just like you expect. Now, I'm going to open my aligned elements project. I'm going to navigate to the design control in which I want to import. In this menu, I select import document objects. I select the import file. I can now add a couple of settings, and I'm going to scroll down here to click OK. Now the data is successfully imported into my project.